Holistic Bitcoin Chat. We've got Luke Broyles, we've got Kush, we've got Jesse Shrader all coming up here. I'm not sure if I'm missing anybody. But we're gonna bring the energy for you guys. We got the last talk, so we're gonna, get real bullish with you, see how everything is shaping up in this past year, and so why don't we all come on up to the stage? Give them a round of applause to start it off. Let's go. Let's get the energy up. No, you're good. You get everything?
We should be excited. Bitcoin's up, what, 4% today? 3%?
There we go. Didn't we hit a new all-time high as well? So
that's crazy. That's like what, 30 billion, 40 billion? Ethereum's down 4%. Oh, fiat is down 4%.
Oh, there we go.
So
We're missing one. Do you have Mike?
I don't. You jumped the gun a little, Brandon.
Yeah, my bad. I forgot Jack over here. But all right, so we'll start off with the holistic Bitcoin chat. So I think that everybody up here brings a very unique experience, very unique background. So I think we'll kind of structure it a little unique in a sense, where we'll go down the line and talk about what the developments we're seeing in each of our respective industries. Specifically, and then potentially maybe some forward-looking stuff as well. So we'll start at the end with Jesse. You can tell us a little bit about Amboss and what you guys are doing, but I'm really curious on, although we're seeing the price rip and roll here, I think the interesting aspect that you're going to bring is a lot of the Bitcoin development in businesses and how you see that forward-seeking here through 25. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, Jesse, and where you see Bitcoin going, and then how we'll structure it is everybody up here, feel free to jump in, have a kind of back and forth as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm Jesse Shrader, CEO, co-founder of Amboss Technologies. You can find us at amboss.tech. And really, we're seeing that Bitcoin needs to be prepared to really scale. As we're bringing new people into the space, we are very keenly focused on making Bitcoin be able to scale, for the next billions. So this is really high volume digital payments, and we've talked a lot about Bitcoin as a store of value and a better money, but part of that is being a better medium of exchange, so you can actually transact on a day-to-day basis and unlock new markets that happen when you have a very efficient payment rail.
Hi everyone, I'm Khushboo, the venture partner at Lightning Ventures. So Lightning Ventures is a US-based VC firm, and we invest in Bitcoin native startups. In fact, I had a AMA with you last year, and today I'm here. I'm based out of Singapore, and this is my first time in Colombia. And I want to thank you, John, for orchestrating this wonderful event and for having me. I mean, this is great. And as far as your question is concerned, from a VC perspective, I still feel there is a long way to go. I mean, there are just a handful of VCs who invest only in Bitcoin native startups. There is a gap there, and we need VCs who invest in Bitcoin native startups, and we need to have a fund size as big as a traditional VC has. So we want more people. The dichotomy is, there is a thing where you are like, where do I, invest? Or do I, as an angel investor also, do I do Bitcoin where, as you mentioned about the price, the first thing you mentioned is the price. So it's like 60% YOY CAGR. Or do I do angel investing where I would get my money back after a decade or 7 years? So there's that thing. Plus, I think, but I do see a shift here happening. Maybe I think 2025 would be a great year. And from a startup perspective, we are seeing more startups pitching to us, and we have a spectrum of funding vehicles. So one is Lightning Ventures, the other one is a Thunder Funder, which is a crowdfunding platform. So even non-accredited investors can invest. So we are trying to do our best in this space. We are trying to help all the co-founders be their guiding force, be their guiding light, and just help them with getting into this Bitcoin ecosystem.
I got a question for you, Kush. Have you seen more traditional VCs start to be interested into Bitcoin companies or approaching you guys specifically asking about how it is in the Bitcoin industry, maybe little differences, some nuances, things like that?
Not traditional VCs as such, personally speaking, since I come from Singapore, so I have seen VCs approaching to me for like more of crypto VCs, but they do reach out to me if there is a good deal where they see there's financial projections out there, where there is, a great business model, where there is they won't reach out to me for pre-seed or seed. They generally reach out to me for Series A or Series B startup, but that's a good start. Otherwise, when I started, I never got, a call from them. Maybe one thing is like the price factor, and the second is the FOMO. Like they don't want to miss out, so they want to have this narrative, like, we are also someone who invests in Bitcoin. But anything, I think it's a good start, and maybe we would enlighten them more, and they would shift their focus towards more Bitcoin native startups.
Yeah, definitely start to orange pill them. All right, Jack, now where do you see things going from your perspective? Give us a little intro on who you are as well.
Does this thing work? All right. My name's Jack. You guys might have to bear with me because I'm super nervous right now. Never spoken like this at any sort of conference or anything. So I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there. But enough. My name's Jack. I founded ANKH Capital, which its mission is really twofold. It's to continue the development of Bitcoin through investments in the solutions will make it more usable, and also educating people on how to self-custody Bitcoin. I believe both of those two things are critically important for Bitcoin to continue with the momentum that it currently has. And I also do a lot of work in Costa Rica, where I live right now, helping facilitate plant medicine ceremonies. And it's interesting seeing the parallels between these very different concepts and practices, but where this holistic practice and a vision towards a beautiful future meet, if that makes sense. Thanks.
All right, Jack. Well, I have a question for you. As a guy in Costa Rica, you're at the forefront of a potential new Bitcoin beach, so to speak, with Bitcoin Lake there, if I'm remembering correctly, or maybe that's Guatemala. A Bitcoin jungle, excuse me. There's so many of these popping up, right? So even Medellín has a lot of a vibrant Bitcoin scene as well. But at that, like with the work that you're doing in self-custody, has there been a lot more of a development, a lot more of a desire to see that? Have you noticed that in the past year?
Specifically with Costa Rica, I would say that from my perspective, there is not a huge need for self-custody amongst locals there. And really the work that's happening down in Bitcoin Jungle is so cool because it's allowing people to connect and start to integrate into this system. I haven't seen a lot of Costa Ricans or Ticos or Ticas, as they say down there, asking about how to self-custody. It's really the medium of exchange. How can I spend this at the market and buy my food, buy my groceries? So I haven't seen that really, that big emphasis on self-custody. Thankfully, most of my clients are US-based or Europe or Australia. So it's been really cool to see it from both those perspectives. The Westerners really valuing store of value, and then people in Costa Rica and other parts of the world really valuing it as a medium of exchange and a way to connect economically with.
All right, great. Well, now we got Luke Broyles with his swagged out hat over here. So look at that. Oh, and the shirt too. Yeah. He's got it all.
The shirt is more important. Yes.
Yeah, the local Colombian here now. But Luke, yeah, man, what are you looking forward to this year? Tell us, what do you think about what we got here now that we're ripping and rolling, man?
What do you mean what we have here? You mean?
I mean, high price. We've got potential Bitcoin strategic reserve in the U.S. We've got all these different kinds of things happening and developing in the Bitcoin space that I think if you told any of us this a year ago on stage, we'd all think you're crazy. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I actually been consistently wrong. I mean, I was surprised when El Salvador adopted Bitcoin. That was earlier than I was guessing. I was surprised by how many coins Michael Saylor was able to get. I was surprised Trump and Kennedy and Vivek all were pro-Bitcoin, or at least Bitcoin neutral, right? Open to it. And it feels weird thinking that there's a non-zero chance that today was the last trading day before potentially there could be a Trump executive order. Not that he would do that. We don't know, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but there's a non-zero chance that it could happen Monday, right? So anyway, that's kind of a weird feeling to be sitting here and now we're talking about this and it's over 100 grand, and yet people outside of Bitcoin still get nervous when it falls to 92, like, oh, it's crashing. So anyway, but more than anything, I think that's unbelievable to me. I would fully agree with what you were saying a moment ago. I work with people in self-custody all the time, and people that are mining all the time. For those that don't know, I work at Blockware, where I'm really happy with the work we do there because a large part of what we do is we make mining accessible to people outside of the U.S. with hosted mining. We're able to offer miners to people outside the U.S., which I think is really important because machines are expensive, and it's just as expensive to ship those machines or move those machines, and people in Costa Rica or Guatemala or Colombia or somewhere else, here may not be able to have the ability to directly mine and get sats back from a miner because you got to pay for the machine, and there's not as many Bitcoin mining machines just floating around here as there are in the States, right? So whether it comes to that or whether it comes to what you're saying about the self-custody component, I think again it's the same. I would echo that same thing, that it's the Americans, the Australians, the Europeans that are really into self-custody. People down here, in my experience, and I've only been here in Colombia 4 days, so what do I know? But between where I have spent a little more time in Costa Rica and especially Guatemala, people in Bitcoin, their big pain point is that medium of exchange component. Their big pain point is, I need to make more money, right? If they don't have enough food, they don't have enough clean water or education for the kids, right? Their main priority is not, how do I store up money for my retirement 40 years from now? Their main priority is, how do I earn more income in the first place? And so for them, I think Bitcoin provides an opportunity to get new job opportunities, not have to pay as much in credit card fees. In Guatemala, for a lot of people I met down there, granted there was a bit of a language barrier, but with translators and everything, it was really interesting to hear again and again and again how so many people there got basically a 5 to 15% pay raise just because they used Bitcoin, because they were no longer paying credit card fees. And so even if they don't save a single dollar or a single sat in Bitcoin for a decade, that's still going to benefit their lives tremendously. So I don't know, that's kind of what I'm seeing. I think maybe getting back to the holistic perspective, I think that's important that we remember that this is a human cause, right? And that's what we're here to do, is we're here to prevent pain in people's lives and make lives better. For some people that is store value, for some people that's medium of exchange, for some people, everyone has their own pain point they're looking to solve. So I don't know, I hope that answers your question, but yeah, it's definitely weird to see so many things happening at so many levels, from the richest level of the world to the world's poorest. Bitcoin is for everyone.
Yeah, and it seems like a common theme can be like the medium of exchange up here. So we've seen it with businesses utilizing the Lightning Network. Jack was talking about it. I'm sure, Kush, you got some experience with potential wallets and other medium exchanges. Is that where you guys see the most surprising development here is like kind of the rapid increase of maybe these micro communities or places, businesses wanting to transact more in Bitcoin, accept Bitcoin for not only the personal level, but more goods and services? I'll leave that open-ended.
Speaking from my personal experience with using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, both from logging onto my node, sending a transaction to anyone, but in this example, let's say that other person's in another country, and seeing that I just sent a payment that usually I'd have to approach a bank about and get permissions for, and within 10 minutes, I can distribute that economic information to any point on the globe. And then there have been instances where I'm using Wallet of Satoshi or some other custodial or non-custodial Lightning wallet, and I push one of those buttons, or I pay for my coffee, or I get something down near my home with Bitcoin, and it's just those little transactions. It's like, wow, like this is happening right now. This is real. This really works. Yeah.
I'm gonna see like a step change improvement. I think like kids born today, like you'll have to explain to them what 3 to 5 business days actually means. They won't have a bank account. They will have a banking app, and they'll be able to transact freely. You'll also have to explain to them what a minimum transaction amount is, because now we're going to be moving into the next phase where you can freely transact this money globally and have it essentially be instant. And so that's like what we're on the cusp of, and it's a complete step change. There's also incredible improvements. Bitcoin Jungle, for example, it uses our liquidity marketplace, which actually gives people that hold Bitcoin an opportunity to earn yields on their Bitcoin without giving up custody. That's never existed before, and it's an exciting like new step in like a more honest direction for our financial future.
I can chime in from a VC perspective. We see as an opportunity in from a market sizing point of view, from a greater TAM when it comes to remittances, when it comes to cross-border payments. There's still a market to be, it's still untapped. And we're talking about a holistic Bitcoin chart. So it entails the new monetary protocol, it entails the new financial system, it entails the new asset class. And this is what Bitcoin is all about. And when it comes to, we're fighting with 1973 Swift technology, which is like you have intermediaries in between, you have still paying a fees for it. And I think, so we are also focusing on startups that's doing, that's promoting medium of exchange. And we are also focusing on Asian markets this year. And because there are so much remittances happening, so I think that's a greenfield opportunity over there that we are really, bullish about.
All right, yeah. Well, you mentioned the Asian markets. Obviously, we're here in Latin America. It seems like it's been a real push here. So from you guys, a few days down here in Medellín, what has your experience been? Have you gone and transacted any in Bitcoin just yet? And like overall experience and kind of the overall Latin American Bitcoin scene.
Yeah, if I could add to that. So we've done a few restaurants, of course, because our healthy dose of steak dinners, right? So all of our servers we would set up with Wallet Satoshi, and tip them Bitcoin, right? And that solves a pain point, right? Because Bitcoiners are generally pretty generous. When you get 50 of them in a room with with a couple waiters, they tend to a couple of them I think got $100 worth of tips, but for them is a lot of money, because my understanding is that the median or average salary here is $300, $400, $500, something like that. So anyway, so it's very fun to do that, and the more exciting thing is to see their eyes light up. When it's like you show them how someone's pushing a button here and it's going there. It's just the speed is just unlike anything else. So anyway, from interacting with people like that, from hanging out with a couple locals over the last few days. Obviously, I'm a gringo with wearing a Americanized hat. Right, so I don't know. I haven't lived here, obviously, right? But I think, I think that's why we are here, right? We don't want to come here and say, oh, look, we're the Americans and the Canadians. We know better than you. Do what we're going to do. I think we want to come here and say, hey, we care about you all, even if we don't all speak Spanish fluently, myself included, right? And we want to have a conference with English and Spanish speaking panels, and hopefully meet people where they are. And a lot of people are at that point where they don't need the self-custody yet. They need the custodial wallet, where if you hook them in that moment and you have a real personal emotional connection, that's the kind of thing that they're going to remember, that hey, that guy or that person, I don't remember their name, I only saw them once, but I think they cared about me, and I think that they wanted this Bitcoin thing, and it wasn't too difficult, right? I think that more than anything is a lasting impression. So
I'd say for me, whether it's been going to meetups in Costa Rica, or as Luke mentioned, paying for some tips at dinner last night. There's tons of stories like this, and then also going to meetups in New York or Boston, where these are huge cities. Not that Medellín isn't either, but these are all huge cities. You'd think, oh yeah, there'd be like a lot of Bitcoiners there. And you go to a meetup and it's 12 people, and you use the technology, and you're like, wow, this is internet magic money, but it's still so early.
Yeah, if I could add to that, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's amazing that there's 4 million people here in Medellín? 4 million, is that right? There's 6.5 in El Salvador. It's like, as much as Bitcoiners talk about El Salvador, it's like this city alone probably has, I don't know, nearly as many people, and probably have GDP larger than El Salvador. I don't know that for sure, obviously, but it's like, that's just amazing, to your point of how early we are, that it's like, this is like this city alone is like a whole untapped El Salvador. And this is like the first conference of it. And there's a whole other country around the city, right? Right.
The last time that I was in Colombia, and this is my second trip. The last time that I was here, the Colombian peso fell 25% against the dollar within a week's period. And what we had to do in order to avoid that situation, we could see that it was crashing. We basically layered on jackets to put cash in there to try and convert it in, get it into an electronic form and convert it to dollars and Bitcoin, because that's what my friend needed. We also had the experience of going to a physical bank branch where we had to pull an actual number and wait for our turn to talk to someone, when this technology unlocks us to do that instantly and to not have this very uncertain currency risk where governments are going to just play games with our currency, and Bitcoin offers a true escape from that. And so happy to see this conference happening here because it really does matter a lot for people's lives.
I mean, on a personal level, I didn't get a chance to do much stuff here, but the moment I landed, I've stopped using now buying SIMs actually. I do eSIMs by Bitrefill and I pay via Bitcoin. And in fact, every country I travel to, I make sure I do check out the BTC map. And on a personal level, I go and meet people who are, doing or running businesses on Bitcoin. I just try to have a feedback from them, like how's it going? Some of them have stopped accepting Bitcoin payments because of certain different factors. But I just try to, imbibe how does it functions in different countries and where are, like in Singapore, there's only one place that accepts Bitcoin. I mean, that's sad, but still. And we run a very small community in Singapore, which is a dev community. We try to orange pill people, and we always take them to this place where they can, do transaction in Bitcoin. So because it's always great to have, done it practically by yourself, and it's the best way you can, orange pill anyone. So I think, yeah, that's the way we are pushing it forward.
Yeah, I definitely think that this conference is in a great place. It seems like it's like a Latin American tech hub is what it's been described to me as, and a big nomad destination as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see John do this again next year. Maybe I'll toss it out for him. But I think it's getting towards the end of the day here, so I really appreciate you guys sticking on with us till the end of this conference. Why don't you give this panel up here a big round of applause? And then I believe there's Satoshi Nakamoto tonight, so hopefully we see you guys all there. And yeah, thank you all to John and everybody, and thank you guys for coming on up. Give him one more round of applause, and let's get out of here, folks.